Please welcome today's Master of Ceremonies, Doug Shoup.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you found the first part of this morning's program educational and inspirational. Thank you again to today's titanium sponsor, Jacobs, and thank you to our exclusive luncheon sponsor, SoCal Gas. We have a huge turnout of nearly 1,000 participants today. Be sure to navigate all parts of this virtual summit. If you need any help, please click the tech support link in the menu or go to our information registration booth in the lobby. We will have people ready to assist you at any time during the event. Don't forget to follow along with your custom Summit bento box. We have some great items from our sponsors for your enjoyment. And if you are one of the lucky few, you will find a golden ticket. If you are a winning recipient, you will be receiving a marvelous surprise. I also want to thank all of our local, state, and federal elected officials and dignitaries who are tuning in today. Thank you. We are so honored to have had such an incredible lineup of state leaders join us for the summit this morning. Now I'm very honored to introduce our federal leadership. Carlos Monje Jr. is the Undersecretary for Policy at the U.S. Department of Transportation. He previously led the domestic agency review process for the Biden-Harris presidential transition, where he recruited, trained, and deployed more than 400 volunteers to do a top-to-bottom review of the federal government. He served as Twitter's Director of Policy and Philanthropy for the United States and Canada. Before joining the company, Carlos Monje led agency review for the Clinton-Kaine transition team. Prior to that, he served as Acting Undersecretary and Assistant Secretary for Transportation Policy for the U.S. Department of Transportation. He oversaw implementation of surface transportation programs, the Tiger Discretionary Grant Program, and efforts to promote equity and economic development. Please help me welcome Undersecretary for Transportation Policy, U.S. Department of Transportation, Carlos Monje.
It's a pleasure to join this year's Southern California Transportation Summit, and fitting that this year's conference theme is the road to recovery. In many ways, that's also been the theme of the Biden administration. We worked to pass the historic American Rescue Plan, which delivered vital relief to millions of working families, helped administer hundreds of millions of vaccine shots, and is set to cut child poverty in half. It's also made a big difference in transportation, helping transit agencies recover, keeping airports open, and keeping state and local staff employed. But the road to recovery is a long one, and the Department of Transportation is focused on the infrastructure that will literally help us build back better. The need for action is clear. Decades of systemic underinvestment in California's infrastructure has left it in a state of disrepair. The American Society of Civil Engineers gave California a C- on its most recent infrastructure report card. By one reckoning, the country has fallen to 13th in the world in infrastructure. It's time to reverse that trend. Earlier this month, the U.S. Senate took a major step and passed the bipartisan infrastructure deal. That deal contains more than $500 billion in new spending over 5 years to improve transportation options, build a network of EV chargers, connect Americans to high-speed internet, deliver clean water to millions, and so much more. To start, this bill is the single largest dedicated investment in roads and bridges since the interstate highway system was established. California alone has more than 1,500 bridges and 14,000 miles of highway in poor condition, which costs the average driver $800 a year. This bill would invest at least $29 billion in roads and bridges for California to reduce commute times and costs for drivers across the state. The bill is also the largest investment in rail since the founding of Amtrak and the largest investment in transit in American history. That especially matters when you consider that Californians who rely on public transit have commute times 2/3 longer than those who drive. This bill will provide at least $10 billion to California to advance safe, clean, affordable public transportation options. President Biden has often said that when he thinks of climate, he thinks about jobs, and California knows better than most that the two go hand in hand. Too often, you've borne the brunt of climate-related disasters, including the horrific surge of wildfires in recent years. But you've also led the country when it comes to electric vehicles and emission standards. The transportation sector is the single largest contributor to greenhouse gases in the country, which means we have to be the biggest part of the solution. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act represents the largest investment in clean energy transmission and EV infrastructure in history. The benefits of that investment will especially be felt in California, which has more EVs on the road than any other state. The bill will provide at least $380 million to help California build out an EV charging network so EV owners can get around confident they will be able to find a place to charge. California is also home to some of the most important ports in the country. For the past year and a half, our supply chains have been working harder than ever to move cargo, but the cracks in the system are starting to show, including at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, which serve as key gateways to international trade. To make sure America remains a leading maritime power, this bill invests $17 billion in port and waterway infrastructure and $25 billion in airports, including $1.5 billion for California specifically, to address the repair and maintenance backlogs and reduce congestion and emissions. We're also committed to ensuring our transportation system is not only efficient, but also safe. We've seen an average of 35,000 traffic deaths every year since 2015, deaths that can be prevented. We must make progress, and with this legislation, we will. This agreement invests $11 billion directly into improving road safety, including $5 billion for a new Safe Streets for All program that would fund local efforts to reduce crashes and support existing safety efforts, as well as local Vision Zero programs. All told, this deal will more than double funding for state and local safety efforts. Of course, it's not just about road safety. The past few years have brought new threats, which is why this bill delivers $84 million to protect against wildfires and $40 million to protect against cyber attacks in California. This is a once-in-a-generation investment in safety, equity, environmental justice, and resilience. But at the end of the day, this is a jobs plan, and it has the potential to create an entire generation of good-paying union jobs. Alongside the administration's Build Back Better agenda, it will add some 2 million jobs per year over the course of the next decade, and the vast majority of those jobs, 90% of them, won't require a college degree. This bill touches so many aspects of American life, but at its core, this is about being able to get to work quickly and affordably, about not having to worry whether it's safe for your kids to cross the street, and about making sure Americans can afford to get where they need to be. At its best, transportation can connect people everywhere to jobs, resources, and opportunities. Our administration is excited to support your efforts and is committed to seeing communities built around safe transportation and built for personal and professional prosperity. We look forward to working with you. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you, Undersecretary Monje, for joining us today. And finally, I am so honored to welcome Senator Alex Padilla. He is the proud son of immigrants from Mexico, his father a short-order cook and his mother a housekeeper. Senator Padilla attended Los Angeles public schools and is a graduate of MIT, where he earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in mechanical engineering. After graduating, Padilla was elected to the Los Angeles City Council, where he served as the youngest council president in Los Angeles history and provided citywide leadership at critical times, including serving as acting mayor during the tragedy of September 11th, 2001. He was elected to the state Senate in 2006 to represent the more than 1.1 million people in the San Fernando Valley. As a state senator, Padilla passed more than 70 bills, including landmark legislation to combat climate change, and was named one of Sacramento's most effective legislators. Here now is Senator Alex Padilla.
Hi, I'm Senator Alex Padilla, and I have the honor of representing California in the United States Senate. Thank you for inviting me to join you as we discuss the road to recovery. After years of delay, Congress is finally taking serious action to modernize our nation's infrastructure. And as President Biden put it, we're on the cusp of an infrastructure decade. The President and Senate Democrats have spent weeks, really months, working nonstop to put together two historic investments in America. We're making the largest infrastructure investment in nearly a century, and the largest ever investment in a sustainable future. That includes a major renewal of our transportation system. With this investment, we can spur economic growth, connect communities, and support America's competitiveness in the 21st century. The transportation sector is the largest generator of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States, contributing roughly half of California's emissions. We need to invest boldly in clean transportation technologies to meet the existential threat of the climate crisis. For years, California has led the nation with transportation innovation in the private sector and bold climate goals set through public policy. This track record is a point of personal pride. We fought for our right to set ambitious vehicle emission standards, while also working with automakers on a voluntary framework that helps both industry and the environment. Together with Senator Feinstein, I urged President Biden to follow California's lead. I was proud to see the White House respond to our calls by setting national clean car standards that build off of the California Framework Agreement. And the work continues towards bolder, long-term standards that build towards a zero-emission future. That includes setting a national date by which all vehicles sold must be zero-emission. We similarly pushed the administration to revise nitrous oxide emission standards for heavy-duty trucks, urging them to work with CARB to build out those efforts. We need aggressive federal standards as strong and protective of public health as ours in California, because state borders can't stop polluted air or water. I proudly fought for clean transportation in the Senate's historic infrastructure bill, from funding the procurement of zero-emission school buses and medium and heavy-duty trucks to improving public transit. Our investments will curb emissions, connect communities, and create jobs. But these investments are just the beginning. As Democrats move forward with a bold budget reconciliation bill, I continue to advocate to include California's clean transportation priorities. This includes further investments in electrifying our nation's transportation infrastructure and ensuring that all communities can breathe clean air. We need to aim high to build a sustainable and equitable future for all. I look forward to working with all the stakeholders here at the Mobility 21 Summit to keep building better transportation throughout Southern California.
Hello, and welcome to Mobility 21. I'm Stephanie Wiggins, CEO of LA Metro, and as always, it is a tremendous honor to be involved with this great event that brings together over 1,000 leaders and professionals throughout California to talk about my favorite subject, mobility. As we continue through the ups and downs of COVID recovery, I believe this year has been a year of hope. Hope that our communities will rebound economically, hope that friends and loved ones can be reunited after so much time away, and hope that we are using this time to reimagine what transportation and mobility can look like on the other side of all of this. As many of you know, I recently returned to Metro as CEO. One of my first challenges has been the major drop in ridership this year, so we are focused right now on coming back and coming back better. We already know we have the best people working in our ranks in all of our transportation organizations across Southern California. But how do we improve mobility for everyone? At Metro, we've taken a few steps to make our service more appealing to everyone. First, we are implementing the first major overhaul of our bus system in 25 years. This will mean improved bus service with a simpler network to navigate with more frequent bus service on most key corridors. We will be conducting our first ever customer experience plan to find out what people want from their riding experience and how we can make it better. We are creating the first ever Metro Youth Council to help identify strategies to attract future lifelong riders. And we are supporting our future workforce through initiatives like the Seed Transportation School, which will break ground next year, Metro's Women and Girls Governing Council, and we will implement our first ever Gender Action Plan. But I also believe we have a chance to identify more collaboration opportunities across all of our platforms. Next year, Los Angeles will host Super Bowl 56, an awesome opportunity for us to share best practices and work together. And when the 2028 Olympics come to LA and our region, people will be visiting from all over the world. This will be an all-hands-on-deck moment for the mega region, and I know I can count on you as partners in preparing for it in the coming years. I have tremendous optimism for the future of Metro and the transportation sector as a whole. I want to thank my colleagues and friends on the Mobility 21 board, along with our partners on the advisory board of directors. I want to thank Jacobs for being a steadfast partner to Mobility 21 and for underwriting this year's virtual summit. COVID was ruthless in trying to pull us apart, but we will do the hard work to bring us all back together. Thank you for joining us for the Mobility 21 Summit, and I'll see you soon on Zoom in our hospitality suite.
Thank you, Stephanie. We can't wait to see the transformations and progress at Metro. And now, please help me welcome the Mayor of the City of Los Angeles, the Honorable Eric Garcetti.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for that introduction, Doug. You know, it has been such a privilege to join these summits year after year over these past 8 years. And I want to thank Jenny Larios and Kristen Slocum, the entire Mobility 21 team, for being such amazing organizers and wonderful hosts. Looking back, especially at the last year that I served as chair of the Metro Board of Directors, I'm struck by just how much we've accomplished together. It's been such an incredibly difficult time. So many families lost loved ones, including families that make up Mobility 21. And I want to recognize all the people we lost to COVID. But in spite of the pain and uncertainty, we still always got the job done. Our agencies kept thousands of buses and trains running all day, every day, getting nurses to our hospitals, seniors to the grocery store, keeping Southern California moving. And we fought for and won over $4 billion in federal relief to avoid devastating permanent service cuts and slowdowns of our priority capital projects across all of our counties. And today, transit ridership is at its highest level since the pandemic began. And we're pushing forward with the biggest public transit expansion in modern American history. We brought the East San Fernando Valley Transit Corridor to shovel-ready. We awarded landmark contracts for the Sepulveda Transit Corridor P3 project development agreement. And we reached 100% zero-emission buses on Metro's G line, proving yet again that Southern California leads on innovation. And that's not to mention the advancements that we've made on our East Side Extension, Torrance Extension, West Santa Ana Branch projects, or the mega projects already under construction, like the D-Line Extension, our regional connector, the Foothill Extension, and Crenshaw LAX line. This is the work to build the future of Southern California, and we've never stopped. But last year we had to do more than just keep the buses running and to keep building. We had a painful and necessary reckoning after the murder of George Floyd. And Metro responded by mobilizing its then new Office of Equity and Race so that we could look at everything at Metro through an equity lens. We started taking a close look at who we educate, who we train and hire with Win LA and the Seed School, a new pipeline to the transportation jobs of the future. And we're also prioritizing equity in terms of our service through our next gen bus plan, the first overhaul of our network in decades, the miles of bus-only lanes that we delivered last year, and Metro Micro, bringing an innovative new micro-transit option to hundreds of thousands of Angelenos. And of course, equity is at the front of our minds when it comes to our Bold Fares initiative. Our Metro's Fareless System initiative will have a transformative impact on the lives of our students and low-income riders, something we've already tested here in LA City with free transit for students. And now, after a year in which we've all had to hold so much pain, we can finally feel hopeful about the future, especially those of us affiliated with Metro with our new CEO, Stephanie Wiggins. We're emerging from this crisis stronger, more committed to being ambitious. There are incredible opportunities in the bipartisan infrastructure bill with $500 billion in new federal investment, the largest ever federal investment in public transit, the largest federal investment in passenger rail since the creation of Amtrak. It's the largest single dedicated bridge investment since the construction of the interstate highway system, and something our generation can look back on for years. It's the largest investment in electric vehicle infrastructure in history, allowing us to accelerate the conversion of our transit buses to zero emissions and have even cleaner air. And this federal funding cannot come at a better time as we look at welcoming the world in 2028 to the Olympics and the Paralympic Games, and the legacy that we'll leave behind, not just for the visitors, but for ourselves as well. This may be my last Mobility 21 as a mayor, but I will continue this work to reimagine this place, to think big and bold, to be an advocate on transit, and I have no doubt that you will do more and more. I can't wait to keep pushing with you as a private citizen in new chapters to come, and it has been the honor of my lifetime to make Southern California the transportation technology, the infrastructure construction capitals of America, if not the world. Let's do great things and improve the lives of our people for the next generation. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor Garcetti, for helping us along this road to recovery. As part of its ongoing campaign to end distracted driving, the Auto Club has released its latest television public service announcements. The two new PSAs are similar in that they feature a family of four heading home from a sporting event and show a mom who is texting behind the wheel. However, one PSA depicts a child speaking up to discourage the mom from using a cell phone, thereby avoiding a crash. In the other version of the PSA, nobody in the vehicle speaks up and a crash occurs involving students in a crosswalk. Let's take a look.
Everybody that home runs.
Hey, pass me the keys, Rob. I haven't had anything to drink.
Good idea.
We've learned to speak up to prevent drinking and driving. Now let's speak up to prevent texting and driving.
What are you doing, Mommy?
Here, let me do that for you.
So sorry. I don't know what I was thinking.
Speak up. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
It's you.
Everybody that home runs.
Hey, pass me the keys, Rob. I haven't had anything to drink.
Good idea.
We've learned to speak up to prevent drinking and driving. So why don't we speak up to prevent texting and driving? The results can be the same. Speak up. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
These PSAs remind everyone that the simple act of calling out a dangerous driving activity, such as using a smartphone behind the wheel, could save lives. A recent AAA survey found passengers are less willing to ask a driver to stop using the smartphone than they are to ask a driver to put on their seatbelt or hand over the keys if the driver was intoxicated. So the Auto Club reminds passengers of all ages to use your voice and also speak up if your driver is intoxicated. Lives depend on it.
Where to?
Let us show you.
To the 10,000 connections that bring San Diego together.
To the people and the places that make this region like nowhere else.
These connections get us to our jobs.
To the homes we live in and the neighborhoods we visit.
But they're much more than that. They're part of a bigger plan.
A transportation plan that gives San Diego more options.
More access and more ways to be together.
What's more is that we're not starting from scratch.
We're taking what's already working and making it better.
With big moves towards new technology, the future is in reach.
So how do we do it?
With big dreams, smart moves, and by including everyone.
It's a plan that will drive us and move us.
But most of all, it will connect us.
This past year, Mobility 21 created the Leadership in Equity Award. Mobility 21 has been working to elevate the topic of equity, not only through advocacy and programs, but now with a permanent recognition to be awarded each year to an individual demonstrating leadership in equity. Let's take a look.
Mobility 21 is proud to recognize Philip A. Washington with the 2021 Leadership in Equity Award. During his 6-year tenure as CEO of the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, Phil Washington helped lay the groundwork for Metro's diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Under his leadership, the agency has been working to improve racial justice and fix long-standing inequities in the communities and within the agency. Those initiatives include the Metro Equity Platform, Office of Civil Rights and Inclusion, Homeless Outreach Program, the Seed School of Los Angeles County, Next Gen and Bus Improvements, the Women and Girls Governing Council, the Metro Leadership Academy, Faith Leaders Program, Women Build Metro Los Angeles, Workforce Initiative Now, Diversity and Economic Opportunity Department, and Metro's Living Wage Policy Fair Relief and Fair Study.
Hello everyone, receiving Mobility 21's first ever Leadership in Equity Award is a tremendous honor for me. And I'll explain why. But first, I want to thank Maria Salinas for nominating me. Maria, you have done a fantastic job as President and CEO of the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. And as a fellow Mobility 21 board member, the fact that you nominated me makes this award even more special. During my 6 years as Metro's CEO, working with the talented Metro staff, we achieved an impressive track record of success. We passed the largest transportation investment measure in North America, Measure M. We secured $9 billion in grant funding by working closely with our federal and state partners. We focused on not just talking about innovation, but implementing it in concrete ways that help real people improve their lives. On behalf of all 11,000 Metro employees, I proudly and humbly accept Mobility 21's first ever Leadership and Equity Award. Thank you again, Maria, to the board members and everyone involved in Mobility 21.
Mobility 21 is proud to award Phil Washington with the 2021 Leadership in Equity Award for his service in advancing equity in transportation for all Southern Californians.
For the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award, please help me honor Tom Jenkins, Vice President of National Transit and Rail, HNTB.
Mobility 21 is proud to recognize Tom Jenkins with the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award. For the past 57 years, Thomas Jenkins has worked to develop, improve, and expand multimodal and multidisciplinary transportation projects, advancing mobility for millions throughout Southern California. Jenkins specializes in planning, engineering, and project management for large-scale highway and transit, primarily for San Diego, Orange, and Los Angeles counties. He also has mentored and developed numerous young professionals who, over time, have become senior-level managers and executives in the transportation industry.
Well, since I was in grade school and my parents took me on trips to New York City, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Los Angeles, I became intrigued about how people got around.
Major milestones in Tom's public sector career include helping to create the Cherry Creek Bicycle Trail while Denver's transportation planning engineer, and planning many of Orange County's bus routes and facilities as Director of Planning and Engineering for Orange County Transit District. Tom became the first Executive Director of Orange County Transportation Commission, now known as Orange County Transportation Authority.
My biggest challenge has been to maintain the confidence of the decision makers to make these major mobility decisions today that are going to benefit the residents and everybody in the region for many decades to come. There have been many successes. For me, helping communities put in their first modern transit systems, like in Salt Lake, Dallas, Los Angeles, and Orange County, along with a new major facility going into San Diego right now. These are really my major success stories.
While a consultant, Tom has overseen the formation of Foothill Transit, the first light rail transit lines in Salt Lake City and Dallas, and the largest project ever undertaken in San Diego County, the Mid-Coast Corridor Transit Project, set to open for service in November. He has played a role in the implementation of every Los Angeles Metro rail line, starting with the A line in 1990 to his current project, leading the environmental consultant team for the Sepulveda Transit Corridor Project.
My hope is that we have transportation options that are available and affordable to all our residents and visitors. And I believe we must have clean, safe facilities for us all to use. This award really demonstrates to me that my colleagues and friends have had this confidence in me over the years to help them deliver projects that are useful to them and their communities.
Mobility 21 is proud to recognize Tom Jenkins with the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award for his leadership in advancing transportation and mobility in Southern California.
The 2021 Public Sector Leader of the Year Award nomination was made while this CEO was at the helm of Metrolink. Her leadership while at Metrolink, the culmination of her accomplishments and successful navigation of the pandemic, was a standout award nomination. Please help me honor Stephanie N. Wiggins, former CEO of Metrolink and current CEO of the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority and Mobility 21 board member.
Mobility 21 is proud to recognize Stephanie N. Wiggins with the 2021 Public Sector Leader of the Year Award. Stephanie is a transformational leader in the transportation industry. In her numerous leadership roles, from Riverside County Transportation Commission's Regional Programs Director to LA Metro's Deputy CEO, to CEO of Metrolink, and now as CEO of LA Metro. Her thoughtful execution and strategic implementation of these agencies' visions have presented safe, affordable, and sustainable access to mobility for all Southern Californians.
Transportation powers our society. It moves people to and from jobs. It is constantly on the front lines of innovation, and it keeps people connected. So what's not to love?
The Board of Directors of the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority voted to hire Stephanie Wiggins as Metro's CEO on April 8, 2021. A lifelong trailblazer and champion of equity and inclusion, Stephanie is the first African American woman to lead the agency.
I think all of us involved with Mobility 21 can agree that overcoming the fallout from the COVID pandemic has been one of the greatest challenges of our careers. As CEO at Metrolink, I was overseeing the nation's third largest passenger rail system, which is a big job on its own. But add COVID-19, major unprecedented closures and disruptions, and a need to adjust how we do business on the 538 route miles of service, it wasn't easy.
As CEO of Metro, Stephanie oversees an agency that runs the third busiest transit system in the United States and which serves as the lead transportation planning, programming, and financing agency for the 10.1 million residents of LA County. With a deep and genuine commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, Stephanie strives to provide all people living in Southern California equal access to mobility to get to work, school, healthcare, and leisure activities. Achieving that goal depends on leading an organization that is as diverse and inclusive as the region it serves.
I truly believe that the SoCal mega region can be a top-tier region for public transportation, viewed by the nation and the world as having one of the most innovative, safest, and easy-to-use transportation networks. Our goal is to get more people out of their cars and onto public transportation, and we need to make this an easy choice for our communities to make. We need to remove barriers to using our systems and partner with our communities to create lifelong riders. I am truly humbled by this award, but I must say I would not be here without the hard work and dedication of the Metrolink staff and contractors who serve the commuters of Southern California. During this pandemic, they were diligent in showing up every day. And so I appreciate the recognition by my colleagues and peers of Mobility 21. I want to thank them, and I thank all of you. Because whether I'm at Metrolink or at Metro, I know in advancing mobility for our Southern California mega region is something that we all are committed to.
Mobility 21 is proud to award Stephanie Wiggins with the 2021 Public Sector Leader of the Year Award for her career of service in advancing mobility in Southern California.
Many of our summit participants have had an opportunity to work with this next gentleman. However, not too many may know that this person was at the table when Mobility 21 was still being formed. Fast forward 20 years later, and the Mobility 21 Workforce Initiative is in full motion. The request and concept having come from none other than Mike Aparicio, Executive Vice President of Skanska. Please help me honor Private Sector Leader of the Year, Mike Aparicio.
Mobility 21 is proud to recognize Mike Aparicio with the 2021 Private Sector Leader of the Year Award. Mike has made unprecedented contributions to the transit and transportation construction community. In his 4 decades of industry experience, he spent the past 20 years managing transit and transportation projects that are reshaping Los Angeles. As Executive Vice President at Skanska, he's provided hands-on leadership for the critical Gold Line East Side Extension, West Side Subway Extension, regional connector projects, and the replacement of the iconic 6th Street Viaduct project.
Transportation for me has been my life's work, been my family's work. I've taken great joy in to be able to see the transformation that transportation can do for a community, or transit can do for a community.
Mike's successful track record in building consensus for major infrastructure projects has earned him a well-earned reputation for excellence in the industry.
Certainly, I would say the last 20 months of the pandemic has been a time like no other. As we continue to deliver transportation projects in the time of the pandemic, health protocols, balancing the concern about health versus the contracts that we have to deliver. I have been extraordinarily lucky in my career to deliver many projects, and it's been the joy of my life seeing the effects of building a transportation transit project and the effects that it has on a community and the people that are building it, the legacy that it leaves for families.
Mike played a key role in spurring transportation via local measures, including Los Angeles Measures R and M. He also assisted with fundraising and legislative efforts for the state of California on the Prop 69 Lockbox and No on 6 campaigns, protecting SB 1 transportation funding of over $5 billion a year.
I hope that as we look forward to transit, transportation, highway delivery over the next years, that we will become increasingly focused on a lighter environmental footprint that we are giving.
Mike has been an ardent supporter of Mobility 21 from the organization's beginnings, working closely with Roger Snobel, founding member, and maintains active support that continues today as a champion of the coalition's workforce initiative.
For me to get this award is so satisfying to look at the little bit of footprint that I have with that connection, and hopefully to leave a lasting impact with the new generation of leaders that are taking up mobility.
Mobility 21 is proud to recognize Mike Aparicio with the 2021 Private Sector Leader of the Year Award for his incredible dedication and commitment to enhancing mobility and quality of life in Southern California.
A big thank you to all of our well-deserving award recipients. Transportation and mobility in Southern California cannot be successful without the leadership and contributions from our award winners. I would like to thank once again Mayor Garcetti, U.S. DOT Undersecretary Carlos Monje, and Senator Alex Padilla for sharing their vision and goals and for supporting Mobility 21. Okay, let's head to the hospitality suite for the exclusive networking time with our regional executives. You will have the next hour, 11 a.m. to noon, to have smaller group FaceTime with the Mobility 21 public and private sector CEOs and staff from their organizations. Please click on the navigation tool at the top left and select Hospitality Suite to enter and connect. You can also walk through the virtual doorways in Expo Hall to get there. And if you haven't had the chance yet, please go to our Expo Hall to connect with our exhibitors. Check out their booths and find those Easter eggs. After the networking time with regional executives, we will meet back here at 12 p.m. for a special keynote presentation from Mike Rowe, best known as the creator and host of the hit TV series Dirty Jobs. Do not miss out.